Let's begin by finding the value of b. In our question we see that when we multiply b times b, the product has units digit b. So from this we know that b must equal either 0, 1, 5, or 6. Let's try each value. What about b equals 0? Well, we can see right away that b cannot equal 0, since our product would have to equal 0, which it doesn't. So we'll eliminate that. What about b equals 1? Well, we can see if b equaled 1, our product would have to be a 3-digit number, which it isn't. So we'll eliminate that. What about b equals 5? Well, we need to look a little closer here. Notice what happens when we multiply 5 times 5. When we do so, we get 25. So we place our units digit 5 here and carry our 2. Now, when we multiply 5 times a, that product must be such that when we add it to 2, the sum has units digit 5. However, there is no possible value of a that satisfies that criterion. So b cannot equal 5, in which case we know b must equal 6. So we'll replace b with 6 in our original product. Now let's determine the value of a. Notice what happens when we multiply 6 times 6. Our product is 36. So we place our units digit 6 here and we carry our 3. Now when we multiply 6 times a, our product must be such that when we add this to 3, our units digit must be 5. In other words, the units digit of a times 6 must equal 2. This means that a must equal either 2 or 7. Now from here, we could try a equals 2, and we would find that this does not yield an appropriate product, in which case we know that a must equal 7. If a equals 7, we get the following product, and from here we can see that c must equal 4, in which case a plus b plus c would equal 17. So our answer is E.
The maximum number of meals is n. On Friday, he needs to have n over 4 at one event and n over 6 at another event. So we want to find out that total, n over 4 plus n over 6. Mean to add these two fractions, we're going to need a least common denominator. The least common denominator of 4 and 6 is 12. So I'm going to multiply this one by 3 over 3, multiply this one by 2 over 2, and this will give me 3n over 12 plus 2n over 12 equals 5n over 12. And that is the exact number of meals he has to have ready on Friday. We want to know which one of these sums equals 5n over 12. Let's look at them one at a time. Choice A. We have a 3 and a 12 in the denominator. Multiply, the common denominator of course would be 12. So multiply this one by 4 over 4. So we get 4n over 12 plus n over 12 equals 5n over 12. So this one works. A is one of the answers. Now B, we have denominators of 5 and 30. So 30 would be the least common denominator. So this one's going to get multiplied by 6 over 6. So we're going to get 6n over 30 plus 7n over 30 equals 13n over 30. That does not simplify, and this does not equal 5n over 12. These two are close in value, but they are not equal. And so this one does not work. B is not one of the answers. Now let's look at C. The least common denominator of 6 and 15 would be 30. And so we're going to multiply this by 5 over 5. We're going to multiply this by 2 over 2. This will give us 5n over 30 plus 8n over 30 equals 13n over 30. So ironically, C gives the same value as B, but both of them are wrong. Neither one of them equals 5n over 12, and so this answer does not work. C is not one of the answers. Now let's look at D. The least common multiple of 8 and 24 is 24, so we're going to multiply by 3 over 3. this will give us 3n over 24 plus 7n over 24. 3 plus 7 is 10. We get 10n over 24. Cancel a factor of 2. We get 5n over 12. This one actually works. So D is one of the answers. Now let's look at E. The least common multiple of 18 and 36 is 36. So we're going to multiply numerator and denominator by 2 here. So we're going to get 2n over 36 plus 13n over 36. 2 plus 13 is 15. We get 15n over 36. Cancel the factors of 3. We get 5n over 12. So that one also works, and E is also a possible answer. So reviewing, B and C did not work, but A, D, and E are all answers. So A, D, and E are all answers to this question.
For numbers P and Q and R, P times Q times R is less than 0, and P times Q squared divided by R is also less than 0. So I realize when you look at this problem, it may look very intimidating. You may feel like, for example, you have to solve for the values of P and Q and R. That is not the case. All we have to figure out is what's positive and what's negative. That's all we have to determine in this problem. So let's start with this second equation here. Of course, we know that this numerator, this top, has to be positive because when you square something, it's always positive. So the only way this whole fraction could be negative is if the denominator r is negative. So we know that r is negative. That's an important idea. Now we'll go over to this first one here, and we'll divide it into these two pieces because, of course, you can group multiplication in any grouping that you want. That's called the associative property. This one we know is negative. And we want the whole product to be negative. The whole product is less than 0. Well, the only way that we can multiply a negative by something and get a negative is if this other something is positive. And therefore it means that P times Q must be positive, which means it's greater than 0, and the answer is A.
Rena has a bag that starts with 50 marbles in it, 10 green marbles and 40 purple marbles. Of course, at Magoosh, we love the green and the purple. She wants to increase the ratio of green to purple by adding some more. Which of the following additions would increase the ratio of green to purple marbles? So there are a few ways to do this. In this video, I'm going to show a very intuitive way to approach this. In the text explanation, you'll see a couple ways to do this, including just a number crunching way. So first of all, if we add 3 to the numerator and 1 to the denominator, that moves the fraction closer to 3. So if we start at we're starting at a ratio of 1/4, 10 to 40, 1/4. If we move toward 3, it's going to increase. Adding 1 to the numerator and 3 to the denominator moves the fraction closer to 1/3. All right, that's the one we don't know whether it's going to increase it. Adding 3 to the numerator and 3 to the denominator moves the fraction closer to 1. Well, the starting fraction is 1/4. Clearly, that fraction is less than 1, and it's certainly less than 3. So if we move toward 1 or move toward 3, it's definitely going to get bigger. And in fact, 1/4 is less than 1/3. So even if we start at 1/4 and move toward 1/3, it's getting bigger. So in fact, in all 3 cases, the fraction is getting bigger. And so all 3 combinations increase the ratio. And so it turns out that the correct answer is answer choice E.
All right, this question requires us to compare the following products. Now, to answer this question quickly, we need to know 2 important rules about the products of negative values. First, if we have an even number of negative values, then our product will be positive. And second, if we have an odd number of negative values, our product will be negative. So essentially, we need to know how many numbers we are multiplying in column A and column B. To determine this, we'll use the following rule. It tells us how many integers there are from m to n inclusive. So for column A, we'll plug in negative 36 and negative 87 to see that we have 52 numbers altogether. Similarly, for column B, we'll plug in negative 34 and negative 58 to see that we have 25 numbers altogether. So in column A, we are multiplying an even number of negative values. So our product will be positive. In column B, we are multiplying an odd number of negative values. So our result will be negative. So as you can see now, column A must be greater than column B, which means our answer is A.